Good morning and welcome to the global community. It's the day where I was waiting for a long time, the 5th of May, with the beginning and starting of what we call the Global Love School. And always, if I focus on this question of love and sexuality, and always if I prepare myself to speak publicly about this issue, my whole system, my whole body starts to shake, and I feel the connection to the universe. I feel the connection to what is happening just now in this moment, to so many women, to so many men who are suffering in the issue of love and sexuality. And we are here doing a research work, figuring out how will we have the possibility to heal these wounds. How can we figure out a real shift which brings healing, not only to our own hearts and our own relationships, but to the whole globe? I know that it's for many people sometimes a bit crazy to ask how can we heal the wounds of the globe and how can we heal the love issue. Many people think it's not a political issue. But in Tamera, building up a healing biotope, for us it's very clear that love and sexuality is a core of healing. There is an emergency call on this globe. It's not a long time ago where we did read in the newspaper how in Bethlehem, for example, where a lot of friends from us are living, where a husband killed his wife publicly in the streets. The reason was jealousy. Or we know about the story in India where a young woman was tortured and now she is dead. And a lot of women, a lot of people went on the streets and they were enraged. They challenged and said, let us stop this violence. But how can we really stop the violence? How it's not only a slogan. This is the question where we are dealing with and where we are trying to do our deep research. Do we have an answer? Do we have an answer where we really believe in? And so I at once come to the issue, why do we speak from a global love school? Global love school, this means we are looking for answers which are not only on a personal level, they are globally. This does mean that we are looking for something what is the same. It's independent from the question whether it happens in India or in South America, in the Western countries, or in the so-called indigenous tribes. Is there something where we can say it is the same, like the DNS, which needs healing everywhere on the planet? Personally, I'm coming from the church. I studied theology, and I was very, very shocked to notice as a young woman how much the church in the favor of mission hurted, going to other places, bringing the mission and bringing certain ideas, but not in the way of compassion and in the way of awareness, but in the way of teaching and bringing with power to places missions which were not wanted at these places. And so I'm very, very carefully looking for this question, what is really globally, without telling I know something what you don't know. How can we learn in the Global Love School to really first go to awareness and from there ask our question and from there bringing our real change? And so at once it is clear, if we do research in the questions of love and sexuality, it's very much about the readiness. Are we ready to look to ourselves? Are we ready to integrate our own personal questions in a research question? Are we ready to understand that our private questions are not only private? Everything what we perceive as a private experience is something what people at different places experience the same. So for me in the Global Love School it's very important to say we ask the questions on a global level, but also to say we don't have to have all answers. But are we ready to figure out these questions and see the necessity that they are really necessary to ask? And so in this sense, I at once come to one of the first rules where I wish that we figure out them more and more precise. What is the orientation, what we can give to us and also to others? And in this sense, we often teach things what we ourselves have to learn the most. And in this sense, it's necessary for me to be ready to really be in contact with our own situation and don't lie about it. That we bring transparency to the places where we are. For example, I can say, I don't believe that jealousy belongs to love, but me personally, I'm quite often right jealous. It's not necessary to teach things and to say, I have it, I solved it. No, I can fully say, I have not solved, but I can say it's a sickness, and I want to heal these wounds. So if we speak of the Global Love School, for me, one important point where I wish to figure out our agreement about is that we see it's not about therapy on a personal level, but it's much more the question, how can we develop social structures? How can we develop forms of living together which really have a healing answer? How can we create social structures where it's no more necessary to lie? How a life has to be organized that it's no more necessary to betray. And there we must be ready to notice that it's quite normal in the love relationships not to say the truth. It's quite normal that people all over the world hide the inner processes because they are ashamed about. So how can we create social areas where we are really ready to make ourselves transparent? And not only ourselves, where we know it's possible. And then we see that love and sexuality is fully a political issue, absolutely independent from the question, where is my personal situation, that it's a political question, how can we create a social basic where new forms of living together can be developed. So being part in the Global Love School, for me, is mainly the agreement that we say we see together the necessity that a change has to happen. We recognize that one part of the violence, one part of the unsolved issues in our big societies is because there is a wrong organization in love and sexuality. So, for example, of course, if I live in the society and I'm married, I will figure out my own agreements with my partner, but I can say I am part of a global love school because I see the necessity to bring new social answers. I am part of a research work in this. And I see the necessity that we have to bring new information to this globe. We know information can bring healing. And in our society, the information is organized in a form that love and sexuality is allowed in a partnership, and if you do it outside, you are a betrayer. But why? Why can't we figure out social forms where I can be fully faithful to my partner and nevertheless can enter to erotic adventures? Couldn't this be also very normally in a social society where we don't think we have to leave each other if we feel attracted to someone else? I often mention this story of Liz Taylor, where she is standing in the television and she says, "If I see that my husband will go to another woman, I will kill him." And in the society, it's seen as the sign that she is really loving with passion. Couldn't there also be a very different picture? So seeing if my husband is attracted by other women, this is a sign that our relationship is quite intense and good. This is a sign that we are in a trusting situation together and he can come home and can tell me, "Oh, it was so beautiful." And I can say, "Wow, how great." And through this, our relationship and our trust building can grow and become deeper and deeper and deeper because we know we really are able to share the truth. So being part in the Global Love School for me is the research, being part in the research of solutions. And then making the statements how I personally want to live as a monk, in a marriage, in a monogam marriage, or as a polygam living woman, being truthful as one of the commitments. One disaster of the violence in our society I often see in the combination of sexuality and love. In our society, it's very normal that this is connected. So loving someone is the same like having the full sexual longing for him. And so we start in the beginning our love relationships full of this passion, and after a while the relationship changes to a disaster. Maybe because we never really faced what is the real logic of love and what is the real logic of sexuality. There existed tribal wisdom about it. There were existing a lot of tribes. For them it was normal to have a very faithful relationship, educating the children, being together the long lifetime as a father, as a mother, in full connectedness, in full faithfulness, and it was very normal to have sexual adventures. So we really can ask ourselves, which is a healed picture where we can say, I don't have to hide anymore my biological truth. I like sometimes to compare the issue of the water retention landscape with the issue of love and sexuality. Because if we put our sexuality in a prison, it cannot grow in a healing way. And so the power of the sexuality suddenly changes into a violent power. But like the water wants to flow free, also the energetical flow of the eros wants to flow in a free way. And how can this happen? And in this free way, we find our agreements to each other. In this connection, I want to mention also the situation of Tamera. Because in Tamera, we are doing the research work now some of us since more than 40 years. We started the projects 1978, and Dieter Doom, even before, was preparing this in a deep way, all this question. He was traveling around Germany, looking for people who are ready to build with him together a university where a non-violent culture can be founded. And now, after 40 years, there is still the situation that we could not say, yes, we have the solution. We are in work, and we have to face this. There is a point where people say, yes, look, you are doing this work now so long, and you are still in heart sickness. You have still love sickness. Why? And for me, there is one point that I think it's very important to, if I start to enter in the issue of research in love and sexuality, that I'm aware I'm starting a historical issue. If I look to Tamera from a historical point of view, then I can say, what a success. They are still living. They are not in prison. They are not killed. So God thanks that we are able in this time to do this research in such a protected place. And also in Tamera there is a basic of solidarity. There is in a way, no, you don't hear any more loud shouting couples. You don't see anymore any violence where someone is beating the wife or the husband because of violence. Nevertheless, the issue of solving love and sexuality is very, very deep. There is a deep fear in the cell system, and it's a deep work to find the real trust between men and women. And there we should know about, we should be ready. Because often people react quite quick, very personal. So for example, I say, I am happy in my marriage. No, free love is wrong. But this is not the question. I can be happy in my marriage and I can look to the society and say, wow, what is happening on this planet needs a change. There is so much sadness, so much suffering, so much psychotic about the issue. And in this sense, I think that also in Tamera we can dare again and again to ask deeper. To ask in a way that we say, now we figure out a vision for a new society where there is really the female part and the male part in a kind of balance where real trust can be developed. We are coming out of a long history of the patriarchal culture. So we are dealing with thousands of years of pain. The Inquisition time is not so long ago. And still, if I speak public about sexuality, there is fear in my cell system. On one way I can say, I am really happy. I am living since 1978 in a community. I have my children educated in a community. I have a beautiful partnership since more than 30 years. And there is no more jealousy. My partner can go to every wife where he wants to go. I can share with other men, so I could say I'm really fulfilled. On a certain level I am, and I'm proud about. I'm really happy to say, yes, we are together. But on the other side, there is still so much unspoken, so much to be discovered. We want to heal the traumatic knot. This is work. And let us come together in the Global Love School with this patience, with this readiness, where we say we want to face the issues which are not yet solved. And in this sense, Tamera is maybe the place on this planet where the research in love and sexuality is done the most. And I think this globe needs places where this research can be done. Different places. Maybe there exist other places where we even don't know yet. But this needs cooperation work. Tamera wants to develop answers in the ecological part, in the technological part, and also in the love part. So, evolution, revolution in erotic. Transformation in the erotic love issues shall be one of the research issues for the coming year. On the other side, this issue also needs a basic of information. So people who live in society, it doesn't make sense to make a slogan about free love. No, this only creates more fear, more violence. So we have to be very careful with this issue, and I hope that the network of cooperation will grow, so that we all together see the necessity, how can we bring the information to the world, that it doesn't create new worldviews, new wars, new fights. How can we bring the healing information in a way that really healing can be created by finding a new trust and a new hope of solution. In this sense, I'm very thankful to our young generation which is studying in Tamera and which decided on a deep level to create the School of Terra Nova. This for me is the next step, that we find places in the world at different places where we all together can study the same issues, where we can develop our questions, where we can bring an exchange to each other, that we know where are the problems and where are the solutions and where are the main questions. So thank you for starting this this school Terra Nova, and I hope that the Global Love School can be one part in this education, where we together figure out what is the ethic, where we can say, yes, this we want to public on a global level. In Tamera, we are so happy to see how the whole nature changes by building the water retention landscape. We can see after some years that from the desert there is developing a fruitable landscape. What a miracle in a very short time. And this answer we also want to figure out on a social level. We want to say, look, here are real healing biotopes. Here the suffering can be changed into a new kind of universal joy, of universal compassion, of universal truth, and of new kinds of contact and communication to each other. And I hope that we in the Global Love School have enough time to figure out which methods are really helpful in these situations where the war between the sexes starts. It's not only between the sexes, where the war starts. We know that normally in these situations we forget every wisdom because we are conducted by an unconsciousness part. And here the war is happening. Normally the war is not happening if we are conscious. I think this we can clearly say. Where consciousness arises, there will be no war. There can't be war where there is consciousness. So the war is mainly conducted by the subconscious part. And so the Global Love School has the challenge to develop methods where we can bear witness about our hidden feelings and to make them more and more and more visible and understandable inside of ourselves and towards each other. So we dare to ask again, what is the real female part in a society and what is the male part? Of course, we all carry everything. We are all universal. We are all on a holographic level. We are a microcosmos in the macrocosmos. But there is a female part and there is a male part. And in our society, the emancipation was in a way often more painful for the women, because some typical female parts were even more suppressed. The women started to become like men. They took the profession and they made their work to cook, to take care for the children after the work. But is there a point where we really know, no, this is a female way of being and this is a male way, and we dance the dance together because we don't fear each other anymore? In the indigenous tribal wisdom, it's very important to say there is a female education, there is a male education, and then we come together and we celebrate these different ways of flow of energy in the society. So the Global Love School feels the challenge to figure out what brings the balance in all beings between the elements. We see this dance of life. What is the universal law in this, and how can we take part in it? So I think that we have to face this question: how can we heal the traumatic knot? How can we understand that there is something inside of us what is not still fully recognized and what is still taking guidance about our behavior and guiding us again and again to war? And how can we figure out this energy without playing roles to each other? How can we be who we really are? In this sense, I hope that we will have the time to work on non-negotiables. Are there points where we can say, yes, this is a non-negotiable of the Global Love School? And this will be really interesting, where we could say it's not a question whether we are in China, in Africa, in Europe, or wherever. This is a non-negotiable because it's a universal orientation which can bring healing. One very important part, which I only want to mention very short now, but I think we will deepen this if we speak about partnership. So is it possible that we all called something love what is not love? So is it possible that we again and again have the same suffering path because we follow an information which is in the core already wrong? Normally in our love relationships, we project the most beautiful to our love partner. He is the one. He will take care for me. He will be my, I don't find the English words, but he is my God. He is my Jesus Christ. And the same he, she's my Maria, I will pray to her, I will play with her, she is my fulfillment. But in the core, there is something, a suffering part in us, a pain body, which we are not aware. So maybe we are very happy together for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even 3 months. But then suddenly, this no husband, no man can really be what I project on him. And so after a while, we can't take these roles anymore. And so suddenly another face appears. And this, normally it's sad. It's not the real me which appears. It's the stuff of our pain body. And suddenly we meet from pain body to pain body. And then the whole suffering starts. And then normally, very often, it ends in a real disaster. If we figure out the real love, then we can go through this and we find on a deeper level a faithfulness. And then a deep partnership can be like a path to the enlightenment on a very quick way. Because real partnership will guide us through the hell of our pain bodies. I think every partnership. And there it's the question, will we find the ways to face it and to free it to our real higher self? And I would love that we in the Global Love School will figure out answers. How can we support our real partnerships? How can we find ways in being faithful to each other, not ignoring that we are attracted to others? So I have much more points, but my feeling is I should come to an end. So my main wish is that we support the process of field building. That by seeing the picture of a healed community, we can nourish the information of healing. And in this sense, we can nourish also the information, how can we do our reconciliation work in the world without bringing the mission. And in this sense, how can we support the process that real trust building can happen wherever we are? So this is for me joyful to start this work together. And I think we should not close our eyes. If we come back from our journeys and we see the hope, what the water retention landscape, for example, awakes at different places on this planet, or if we see that new answers are developed and really working in the technological part, it won't bring a real solution without facing the love issue. So we know a water retention landscape by itself will build a biotope. A lot of plants will appear, a lot of Vielfalt, a lot of diversity will appear. And if we want to protect the nature, we can't let out the issue of protecting human beings. Human beings are part of the nature. And human beings are part of the biotopes. Human beings are part of the healing biotope. And so in this sense, we have to face the question, okay, if we build water retention landscapes, if we build decentralized places for a new kind of technological work, how will we build the societies around? And by this, at once, we will have the question, how will we build the love issues, the love relationships in a way that a communication without betrayment can be the consequence, without betraying each other. So I think we are bearing witness of entering a new century where new cultures can be born. And I hope that we create common rules, common commitments, and also common visions how we combine the work in crisis areas on a level where help is so much needed with the social work. And my most beautiful vision would be that we also create some nature parks at different places at the globe where we communicate in the way of showing how we cooperate with all beings, not only with human beings. And that this way of nature landscape is our sign, a sign of building a new culture. Thank you for listening, and I hope we will have all together a joyful, powerful, and deep time. Aho.